Minasan, konnichiwa. So first of all, I would like to thank you for taking some time to watch this video and attend our first CGH follow-through training for this new school year. I am your lecturer for this session, and I am one of the CGH senior instructors based here in Cebu, Val Perez to moshimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Hi. So, most of the contents that we will be discussing throughout this session is, I believe, something that you already know. Okay, so this will be some kind of a refresher course for everyone. Okay, based from your 1 to 2 years of language training of your Japanese language training here in the CGH program. But I hope that you will still be able to learn something new. Okay. So the title of our session is Analyzing Japanese Sentence Structure. So we will be taking a look at Japanese sentences and how we'll talk about how each word, okay, contribute to the overall meaning of the sentence. Are you excited? Now, では始めましょうか. Okay, so now let me discuss the topic outline. So first, we're going to review the different parts of speech. So let's go over the different kinds of words that is present in each sentences, and let's try to review on how each word contributes to the whole meaning of the sentence. Then let's take a look at speaking styles. So we're going to talk about the different speaking styles in when talking in Nihongo. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about conjugations, and learn how each word is transformed in order to give a different meaning. Okay, so let's have our first topic for this session, the parts of speech. Now, try to recall the different parts of speech that we have. Okay, let's try to make this video as interactive as possible. So I will be giving cues, no, or I will be giving questions, and even though that this is a recorded video, please try to respond on your own, and take down some notes also. Okay. So, what are the different parts of speech that you have in the English language? Okay. Try to think about it. Okay, so now let me give you the 8 common parts of speech. So you have nouns, which refers to a person, concept, place, or thing. We have pronouns, used in place of a noun. Adjectives, which modifies a noun or pronoun. We have adverbs, which modify a verb, adjective, adverb, or even a whole sentence. And then we have verbs that describe an action. Diba? Preposition used to show the relationship between different parts of a sentence. So prepositions like, for example, the in, the at, the of, diba? Those are prepositions. Then we also have conjunctions, which connect different parts of a sentence. Like, for example, the and. No? So that is a conjunction. Because, that is a conjunction. Then but, we have that one. And we also have interjections. So something that you will insert in during your speech, to make, for example, a command or a greeting. Like, for example, yung mga, let's say, yung wow, or uh-huh, or yeah, and let's say about that, no? So those are interjections, no? Something that you will insert in your speech to make something, no, out of it. Okay, so what is my point, no? Why am I discussing this, or why do we need to discuss or recall the different parts of speech? So it's important to talk about this, so that we will be able to analyze, no, in later on when when I'm going to show you the a Nihongo sentence. Na um, okay, this word is a noun, this word is an adjective, this word is an adverb. No, so it's important for you to identify, no, that this word means something. okay, in order for us to fully understand the sentence. Now, to give you an example of that, let's go to the next slide. Okay, I have here 3 sentences. I will give you a few seconds to read all 3 sentences. Please do so. Okay. Okay. So have you read them aloud? So during reading exercises, please try to read the sentences, no, with your voice, not just reading silently as much as possible. When you're learning a new language, I think it really helps. Okay, so let's go for the first sentence. Um, I will read, and if you can follow after me, please do so. So, kirei na tokei desu ne. Okay. The next sentence we have, kono tokei wa, uh, kono tokei wa yasui desu. And we have the third sentence, watashi wa kono tokei o kaimashita. Now, let's go back to the different parts of speech. No? So, we have here the first word in the first sentence, kirei na. What do you think is the um, category of this word belongs? Kirei. So, based from your previous knowledge, no, in Nihongo, so we know that kirei is an adjective. Then the next question is, what kind of adjective? Is it an adjective or an adjective? Okay. But for now, let's say we identify this as an adjective. And then we have next is tokei. Tokei is a watch. I'm not wearing my watch right now. Okay. So tokei is watch. Okay. Which is a what kind of parts of speech? No, it's a noun. Okay. So we have here an adjective and a noun. So if you're going to think about it, um, you know that an adjective describes a noun. So this sentence means um, it is describing something. No? So without knowing what is tokei, okay. So let's say now you don't know what tokei means, okay, but you know that kere is an adjective. So based from that thought, you know that this first sentence is describing something because there's an adjective and there's a noun. From that point, we can understand that this first sentence is trying to describe something because we know that there's an adjective and then there's a noun. Diba? It helps in the comprehension of the sentence. Now let's go to the next sentence. Kono tokei wa yasui desu. Okay. So we have kono tokei. So we have here tokei, we have a noun. And then we have kono, which is describing or modifying a noun. And then we have yasui desu. And we also have wa. Wa here is we know that wa here is used as a particle. Okay. So the topic of your sentence, so you know based from our previous discussion, so wa here is a topic particle, meaning it establishes what you are talking about. In this case, you're talking about tokei. Okay. And then we have here yasui. We have here yasui. So you know that tokei is a noun and then yasui is an adjective. So meaning, if you're going to think about it, you might not know the meaning of tokei, okay? But you will understand that this second sentence talks about a noun. So it talks about something, and then from this sentence, yasui desu, meaning it is describing something. So we have an adjective. Okay? So you might not know what is tokei, but let's say you know yasui, which is you know that yasui is cheap, meaning it is an adjective. Okay? So you're talking about something, which is here because you know that it is something because it is a noun, and then it's describing it as cheap. Okay? So you have a noun and then you have an adjective. It helps in the it somehow helps in the understanding of the sentence. Then lastly, we have watashi wa kono tokei o kaimashita. Okay. So we have a verb in this case. So the topic of the sentence is watashi wa. Okay, so you're talking about yourself, and then you're talking about an object because you have here konotoke, and then you're talking about a verb. So if you know the meaning of kaimashita, okay, so because that is a verb, um, you should also connect it with the what kind of object that verb is referring to. So in this case, you have verb kaimashita, and then the object that it is being referred to is konotoke. No, so meaning this watch. So I bought this watch. So you have the topic of the sentence watashi wa, and then you have the object being referred to by your verb, which is a noun, toke, and then we have here kaimashita. Diba? So by knowing the different parts of speech, it will be able to help you in understanding the at least even the gist of a sentence. So you might not know the meaning of each word, but it will give you a clue to comprehend the whole sentence when you try to analyze it. So you might not know the meaning of the K, but you know that the word wa, the particle wa, the the word that comes before it is a noun. No, so meaning it is trying to discuss about something, about that item. Then you have here an adjective, meaning it's trying to modify or describe your item. No? So it helps in, especially when you're learning the different grammar patterns, it will definitely help you in studying the grammar patterns if you know if you know the different parts of speech. Now let's move on. Now let's talk about the parts of speech in Japanese, so or in Nihongo. So in the previous slides, we talked about the different parts of speech in the English language. Now let me introduce to you some the words being used in Nihongo. Yan. So pasensya na sa sa dogs. I'm trying to take a video and sa in the middle of the night para walang disturbances, but yun talaga eh. Sige, let's move on. So we have nouns, of course, meishi. So examples of these are watashi, nihon, gohan. Okay. Adjectives, we have two types of adjectives in Nihongo. We have i, kiyoshi. So words that end with a i character. Okay. So again, let me remind you that i adjectives are adjectives that end with the I character, not the I character. There is no I, letter I, no. There is no letter I in Nihongo. There's only an I character. So, I know we are more familiar with, what's that? Writing in Romaji. Diba? Yung mga for example, Oki, we have O-O-K-I-I. Diba? But it's not written that way in Japanese. No? It's not intended to be written that way. So it's intended to be written in hiragana. So we have I characters. And then we have na kyoshi, diba? Like ski, kirei, and nigiyaka. Then you might ask, Sensei, why is kirei an na adjective when it ends with an e character? It to answer you that, it just being shown that way because we are writing it in hiragana. But supposedly, if you're going to write kirei in its kanji form, wala talaga yung i na last character in its sentence. Okay? But there's another word that ends with i character na naka-i talaga yung character. That is kirai. Okay? So think of it as kirei and kirai as special exemptions to the rule. Okay? Just remember that those are considered as na adjectives, not i adjectives. Okay, let's move on. Doshi, of course, verbs, taberu, iku, and aru. Then auxiliary verbs or jodoshi. No, we have des and mas. Later on, I will be talking about the auxiliary verbs, ditong des at mas, in the next part of the topic. No? So let's try to move on for now. Then we have more. Particles, joshi. The ha, ga, o, kara, made. Um, let me again, no? So the character ha, no, when used as a particle, it's pronounced as wa, and same with o. No? So the wo character, no, wo, wo, the wo character when used as a particle is pronounced as o. Okay, so please do not forget this. I remember there was a time when I was asked to be a judge for a Nihongo music video contest or some, yeah, I think it was a music video contest or an essay or a documentary, I forgot. And then for the CGH program, no, there was an activity like that before, and then the students presented their video, and it was all good and that. And then they were asked to put subtitles at the bottom of the video. So there are English subtitles and hiragana, or let's say Japanese na subtitles. And the common mistake that the students have is actually using the incorrect character for the particular particle. Okay, so like for example, watashi wa, then they're making use of the wa character instead of the ha character, and when they say when there is an wo, no, so they are pronouncing it as wo, not o. Okay, then we have also the he. So for example, more he ikimasu, no? It's pronounced as e, right, not he. Diba? So you, as their senseis, you will have to check, you know, you will have to check the subtitles, no? Not only the content of the video, but you also have to check that, no? Especially when you're submitting something for a contest, because we as the judge are very particular about it. Okay. Moving on, we have fukushi adverbs. Totemo, itsumo, amari. Totemo, very, very. Itsumo, always. Amari, not so much. Diba? Not so much. Meaning ana. Okay. Setsuzokushi conjunctions like sorekara, soshite, demo. Sorekara is like when you're doing an action, and then from that point you're doing another action. Sorekara. Soshite is when you're adding something. Demo when you're negating the previous sentence. In English it's but, diba? Okay. And we have interrogatives, gimonshi, like nani, itsu, dare, okay. What, when, and who, diba? Then we also have demonstrative, shichiji, shiji, shi, kore, sore, are, or koko, soko, asoko, no? So mga demonstrative words. Okay, so and there are actually more pa, but I will not include them anymore. In For this session, I would like to say now you don't actually have to memorize everything what is written here. What's important here is for you to take note that each word, each Nihongo word in a sentence actually means something, and those something are part of these different parts of speech in Nihongo. Let's try to look into another sentence later or after this slide, no, for us to better analyze the different Japanese sentences. Dewa minasan, renshu shimashou. So I have here 4 sentences. I will give you a few seconds to read everything. Right, ja minasan yonde kudasai. Hi, ja, ii desu ka? Now let's go to the first sentence. We have san, rin, des, wa, and jugokujin. Okay. So first that you will have to take note is a formal sentence in Nihongo always ends with a des or a mas. Okay. It doesn't have to be always des and mas. No. I mean, what if, for example, if it's a negative form, diba? So if negative form dewa arimasen, no? or jaarimas or jaarimasen. And then mas, if it's negative form, like for example, masen, ikimasen, or ikimashita. No? So what I'm trying to say is it always ends within in its auxiliary verbs, des or mas. Therefore, in the first sentence, ang des is always sa last na siya. Let's establish it na last na siya. So we only have san, rin, wa, and chugokujin. Okay. Next, we have san and rin. San, you know that san is added to a name of a person. Okay. In this case, ano yung name of a person? You might know that it's rin because it's written in katakana. Diba? So, okay na. Rin and san, nag-follow siya. Then des ang last. Then we have wa and chugokujin. So for the particle wa, please take note that the word that comes before wa is a noun. Always yan. Because you're establishing the topic, diba, of the sentence. So, wa. So, what are the nouns present here in the sentence? We have rin, san, and chugokujin. Grammatically speaking, the correct answer here is actually rin, san, wa, chugokujin des. So, rin, san is a Chinese person, diba? But based on the rule, the wa here, the word that comes before it, is a noun. Therefore, syntactically, when you say chugokujin wa rin san des is acceptable. So, in what case man siya na acceptable? Like for example, when you say, so if translated by the way, it's that Chinese person is rin san. Di ba? Pwede siya. But in that case, the context is not established, diba? Because you will have to explain why you are using that kind of sentence. So let's say, for example, there's a room with several people of different nationalities, and then okay, so that Chinese person, that is rinsan, diba? So syntactically it's correct, no? But you will have to explain the context first. So it's difficult to pinpoint that that is a correct answer if you're going to put it in that way. Chugokujin wa rin san des. Okay. So before I continue pala, this kind of questions are actually JLPT types. No. I mean, these kind of questions are actually included in a JLPT exam. Okay. So mga arrangement of words. So we already have that in the JLPT exam. So please take note, no? Please take note of the techniques that I am trying to discuss in this slide. So now let's go to the next sentence. We have wa, ja arimasen, kore, and noto. Okay. So again, the formal sentence always ends with des and mas. Therefore, the ja arimasen, which is the negative form of des, last na siya. So we only have wa, kore, and noto. And then from our previous discussion in item number 1, the word that comes before wa is a noun. And then since ja arimasen, man siya, so the word that comes before it is basically not a verb. Therefore, it's a noun, adjective, adverb, diba? So we have here kore and noto as the nouns. No? So we can say kore wa noto ja arimasen, because we know that the word that comes before wa is a noun. Therefore, kore is a pronoun. Ja arimasen, the word that comes before it should be not a verb. Therefore, the remaining noun that we have here is noto. No? Noto is notebook. Okay. So kore wa noto ja arimasen. So that is the correct sentence for a correct arrangement of words for this sentence. Because you don't have to explain the context. That is all. If just by reading this, you can already understand. Now, syntactically speaking or grammatically speaking, you can also say noto wa kore ja arimasen. Because based on the rule, The word that comes before wa is a noun, di ba? And the word that comes before jarimasen is not a verb. So in this case, it's a noun. So we have no to wa kore jarimasen. That is syntactically correct, but you will have to explain. The speaker will have to explain why you are saying it that way. So we can, for example, it makes sense if for example, you say sagashiteru no to wa kore jarimasen. So this is not the book on the notebook that I am searching. Di ba? Pwede ganyan. Oh. But in this case, you're not adding additional words eh. So without trying to explain something, you can already understand the context just by arranging the words in this order. Kore wa no to jarimasen. Let's go with the third item. Des, kyo, wa, and isogashi. So again, the des is in the last part. We already know that. Okay, so we only have kyo, wa, isogashi. So we have wa. The word that comes before wa is a noun. And what is the noun here? It's only kyo, diba? Because isogashi is an adjective. Okay? So the answer is kyo wa isogashi desu. Okay? So we already have the arrangement. And then we have last item, maiban, kikimasu, ongaku, and o. So what is the first thing that you'll have to do? So identify the last part of the sentence. We have here the kikimasu because that is a verb and it ends with a mas. It's a mas form. Kikimasu. Okay. Then we have here maiban, ongaku, and o. So since this is a verb, it's trying to there should be a direct object to that it will be referring to. So that in that case is ongaku and we have o to point to ongaku or music, diba? And we have here maiban, which is every night. The answer here is maiban ongaku o kikimasu. So again, kikimasu being in the last part of the sentence, and then it's trying to to point to a target object, so that is ongaku o. And we have here maiban as an adverb, which is an adverb. Now, funny thing about adverbs in Japanese, the order actually does not matter in the sentence. So again, take note. For adverbs, the order of it does not matter in the sentence. Therefore, we can say maiban ongaku o kikimasu, and you can also say ongaku o maiban kikimasu. It means the same thing. Because if you're going to translate it in English, say, for example, in this sentence, you say, every night I listen to music. Diba? That is okay. And if you're going to say, I listen to music every night, it still means the same. Diba? Therefore, for adverbs, we're going to it actually does not matter. Another example could be, for example, for example, pasta, spaghetti o oishiku tabemashita. I ate the spaghetti, deliciously. Parang, in a manner nga delicious kayo ni mo siya gi-eat. Okay. So therefore, you can say, oishiku spaghetti o tabemashita. So, pwede din nga ganyan. So, to wrap it up, a formal Nihongo, so there are 3 points that you will talk about. There are 3 points that you will have to take note. First is a formal Nihongo sentence always ends with mas or des. Automatic niyan. Okay? But does not have to be only mas and des. The past tense, the negative form, you will have to consider that also. So again, it's mas or des. And then an adverb can be placed anywhere in a sentence. It will not matter. And then another item that you'll have to take note, the third item, is the topic of a conversation, like for example, watashi wa, can be omitted when doing a conversation. So for example, watashi wa watashi wa kaban o kaimashita. I bought a new bag. But if the context is already established, you don't have to say watashi wa. So kaban o kaimashita. Unlike in English we always say the person who is doing the action. For example, I bought a bag. I bought food. I drank water. tomorrow I'm going to study. There's always an I, no? Because there's a doer of the action. But in Nihongo, it's not always the case. We can just say, Kabano kaimashita. Ashita, Nihongo o benkyou shimasu. Okay. Now let's move on. So let's talk about the different speaking styles when talking in Nihongo. So you already know this from your Japanese language training. First is we have the casual forms and the formal forms. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we have the casual forms and the polite or formal forms. So the casual forms is used when you're talking with your friends, family, or other people close with you, or when you're writing a diary or a journal. Because when you're writing a diary or journal, the target audience for that is just actually yourself, diba? So you don't have to write it in formal form. Then we have the polite and formal forms, which is used when talking with elders and someone who is not a close acquaintance. And when, of course, when you're writing formal letters or let's say emails. In N3, the forms of the sentences that is being taught there is actually in casual forms, because basically N3 is designed to communicate with peers of the same age, like for example the students. That's why we are just using the casual form when introducing Nihongo to them. Okay, so basically the students will just be talking with their friends, diba? Students to students. Now, the problem here is for the polite and formal forms. Actually in Marugoto and in most other Nihongo books, Nihongo is being introduced in this way, using the polite and formal forms. So why? If you're using a different style, no, without considering who you are talking with, you might sound rude, no, to your listener if you're not using the correct form or speaking style. Like for example, if you're talking with your principal, you don't talk to them in a casual way, diba? There should be a level of respect. So same with when your students who are talking with you, diba? If your students talk with you, there should be a level of respect, diba? There should be a boundary. Well, unless of course it depends also with our personalities, but I think it's better na the students talk with us in polite form. Okay. So one example is you as a teachers will greet to the students. You can greet to them as simply as Ohayo, diba? Ohayo. Yan. But the students, when they greet you, it should be Ohayo gozaimasu. It should be in polite form because you are not friends. You're not friends with your students. They are students. You are the teacher. There should be a boundary for that. And and kung baliktad po, if you think about it in a different way, for example, when you're talking with your friends, close friends, so the correct speaking style for that is in casual form. But if you're talking to them in polite form, it will establish a wall. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if you're being too polite with people, it might mean that you are not trying to build a closer relationship with them. Like for example, there's this person that you would like to be friends with. So at first you are speaking in polite form, which is okay because that is safe, no, when using polite form. But eventually, as you know each other, as you know each other, let's say you've already known each other for a couple of years, and then you're still using polite form, meaning your relationship will just stay there. You will never be close enough. You will not be considered close enough because you're not using casual forms or casual form na speaking style. Okay? So, the point here is you have to consider who you are talking to when you're talking in Nihongo. So to play it safe, you can use polite form, but it depends on the situation and in the relationship that you're trying to build with, if eventually you're going to talk in casual form. Okay, so there's casual form and polite form. And lastly, let's talk about conjugations. The Filipino language actually has conjugations, like for example, to love, no? Nagmahal, nagmamahal, magmahal, magmamahal, di ba? So we are transforming a word to provide a different kind of meaning. So same with Nyonggo, they also have conjugations. Okay? I will give you a few seconds to read the table. Okay, so please read the whole table, the contents of the whole table. じゃあ皆さん読んでください。はい、いいですか? Okay, so what have you noticed? So we have, first let's take a look at the table headers. We have present and future affirmative and present and future negative. So first thing to take note here is that Nihongo words do not have a specific future tense, no, na conjugation. So unlike in English where we have future tenses, no, we can transform words in their future tense. So we have the past tense, present tense, and future tense. In Nihongo, it's not considered that way. So the only way to understand that the message is is intended for the future is through adding a word for it. Like for example, ashita Nihongo benkyou shimasu. Ashita Nihongo benkyou shimasu. Raishu more ikimasu. Or rainen Nihon e ikimasu. Diba? So there's a different word. So you're adding another word to supplement the meaning. No? So that is for future tenses. Now let's go to the words itself. So for verbs, in order to negate, or in order to give a negative meaning or negated meaning, so ikimasu to go, the way to say it to not go is ikimasen. So we're going to change mas to masen. Now for e-adjectives, you have, for example, oki desu. Okay. Sorry. So we have oki desu. Okay. So in order to negate it, we have okiku arimasen. And we have also okiku nai desu. So we can, if you want to be more polite, you say okiku arimasen. Okay? And then we also can say okiku nai desu. So by the way, what we are trying to, the words being presented here is in polite forms. So therefore, the oki des, no. So again, a polite form ends with des and mas. So for e-adjectives, we add des to the adjective. So oki des. So if you're going to say it's not big, no, so we can say okiku arimasen. Or we can also say okiku nai desu. In most textbooks, the last part, itong naka-red line, in most textbooks, we are being introduced in this way, okiku nai desu. No, it's not okiku arimasen. Okay. But just take note that there's also this sentence. Now for adjectives and nouns, please take note the rule is the same for adjectives and nouns. So instead of using des, no, because that is the formal way to say kirei desu and ami desu, no. So for the negative form for that, we can say in three different ways: kirei dewa arimasen, kirei ja arimasen, and kirei janai desu. So again, no, the words that to the formal words, formal sentences always end with des and mas. So you have dewa arimasen or ja arimasen. But if you're going to say actually kire janai desu or ame janai desu, ame here, for example, ame is, let's say, candy na ame. So if you want to be safely polite, you should say dewa arimasen. No? So it's not clean or it's not good. No? Kire dewa arimasen. If you want to be a little bit casual but still formal, so you can say kire ja arimasen. So in several textbooks, ja arimasen and dewa arimasen is being introduced in this way. Then we have kire janai desu. if you want to be if you want to speak in casual style, you will just say actually kire janai, diba? Yeah, kire janai or yeah, ame janai yo, oh, diba? But if you're going to sound polite but still casual, you will say kire janai desu. Kire janai desu. So you're adding des to make it sound polite, but it's not actually polite because you're not using jarimasen. Okay? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? No? Okay. So again, we have dewa arimasen, ja arimasen, and then we have janai des. So it's janai, so meaning it's casual, but you're trying to make it sound polite, therefore you're adding des. So janai des. So this is for verbs, adjectives, adjectives, and nouns. Okay. There are actually more, but we will be studying. You'll be studying it in a later part. No. Now let me go. では皆さん、少し練習しましょう. So I'll be showing you different pictures. Now, please describe them, or please describe the adjective. Please identify the adjective that is being described. Okay. So we have here, take a look at the picture and that one. So what is the word or adjective that best describes this picture? Hi, atsui. Okay. So if you're going to say it's not atsui, how do you say it? Hi, you can say okiku atsuku arimasen or atsuku nai. So you drop the i, add ku, and then add arimasen or nai. No? So atsuku arimasen or atsuku nai desu. Yeah, let's go to the next picture. Ooh. Okay. So what is the adjective that best describes this picture? Samui. Now how do we say it's not samui? So we remove the i, add ku. Samuku arimasen. Samuku arimasen or samuku nai desu. And lastly, so looking at the vegetables, and it seems that this person does not like vegetables. So the word is kirai. So how do we say you do not like it? Kiraku arimasen? No. Kirai is a special exemption to the rule. It's an adjective. Therefore, we say kirai dewa arimasen or kirai ja arimasen. Or we say kirai janai desu. And let me talk about the verbs. Okay. So this is the last slide for these part conjugations. So for verbs, it will become very confusing for you because you're still beginners. Okay. So there are different ways to transform verbs to give a different meaning. So for example, utaw, to sing. So if you want to say I do not sing, utawanai. Or if you want to make it in its te form, you say utatte. Oh. But if you're going to say if you're trying to suggest something or put it in a condition, so utay ba? Oh. Yan. And then there are different conjugations, no? Different conjugations pagyud for verbs. Later on, you will have to study this in order to pass JLPT. But for N5, dictionary form, polite form, conjunction form, te form, ta form, negative form, past negative, and up until past negative form. Okay. So up until past negative form, you have to study, no, these. But if you're going to take JLPT N4, you will have to study up until the last part. So you'll have to know passive forms, causative forms, causative passive form, command form, conditionals, potential form, and volitional form. So volitional form is kakimasho, no? Let's write. No. Potential form kakemas, meaning I can do it. So for example, ashita repoto ga kakemas. So I can write a report tomorrow. The potential. Conditional, yung if ba na. A formal way to say if na siya. So for example, ashita repoto ga kakeba taskarimasu. So it will be very helpful if you're going to write a report tomorrow, no? So that's an if. Then command form, kake. Ashita made repoto kake. So write a report until tomorrow. Diba? Then itong passive form, causative form, and causative positive form, I'll try not to discuss this because this is something long. It takes a longer explanation. Okay? But to give you an idea, for example, kakasemasu. So you as a teacher, diba, you're going to ask your students to write a report. So watashi wa seito ni reporto o kakasemasu. So that is the pattern to use, kakasemasu. You're asking your students to write a report. And in the viewpoint of the students, so someone is making me write a report. So kakaremasu. And then there's also a combination of both, repoto kakasaremasu. Okay. But that is for another topic. So these are the different sentences. So for now, please take note that there are different ways to transform verbs to provide another set of meaning. But for now, you don't have to memorize this. Yeah. But if you're planning to take JLPT N5, you have to know this up until past negative form. But if you're going to take N4, you will have to understand it. Okay, ito sila, passive, causative, up until volitional form. Hi, minasan. So we are now in the last slide for this session. Let me tell you about my final notes. So first is a formal Nihongo sentence always ends with mas or des. Okay? So and its equivalent, no, yung mga negative form, past tense, and present and future tense. Then the topic of a conversation can be omitted. So yung wa, no. So you do not have to say wa every time as long as the context of your conversation is already established. So unlike in English, wherein we always say I or you, diba? So for them, no, for English speakers to understand the sentence, but for Nihongo, it can be omitted. And then an adverb can be placed anywhere in a sentence as long as the thought, no, is still understood. So for example, yung sukoshi or yung maiban when it's being used as an adverb. And then also future tense is expressed using adverbs related to time to establish to establish context. I mean, so we have here, yeah, no, you have to add ashita or raishu or rainen, no, to say something about the future. And lastly, conjugations are used to express, no, different meanings. So eventually you have to learn everything to understand Nihongo sentences. But for now, you can, please take note that there are different conjugations for different kinds of situations. So that is the end of my session analyzing Japanese sentence structure. If this is a face-to-face session, I really would want to hear your thoughts and your opinions and the things that you have newly acquired, no, for this session. But Unfortunately, this is a recorded session, but if you can actually reach out to me in Facebook and um, give me your thoughts, I will be very, it will be very appreciated. Yeah. So if you have more questions, don't hesitate to add me in Facebook. It's r-val Perez. So again, it's r-val and then space Perez. Okay. So you can add me in Facebook and yun, um, send your thoughts, images, send your thoughts, opinions, ideas, and if you have questions, no, please reach out to me in Facebook. Hi. So, minasan, that's all. ありがとうございました。お疲れ様でした。